the sun. I'm one of those people that's always cold. It's actually freezing right now. I'd rather be outside, but I'm going to keep moving around to try to warm up my body. So welcome to the SMB Expo. Again, my name is Stasia. I'll tell you a little bit about me before we get started. I have been speaking and educating for Google for more than 12 years now. I've been in the internet industry since the very early 90s, so more than 20 years, doing everything from website development, application development, email marketing, SEO. And the great thing about that is that it allows me to go around and talk to business owners all around the world and now all around the United States about the things that they can do to grow their businesses online. So that's why I'm here today. And today's presentation is going to be focused on a connection that drives us all. Let's see if I can make my clicker work. No clicker. So we're going to be talking about mobile devices today and connecting in a mobile-first world. And let me ask a question to the audience. Does anybody here not have a cell phone with them? All right, who doesn't have a phone? Raise your hand. One person in the entire room doesn't have a phone. And I think you're going to find that that is true for just about the entire world. That the majority of people have at least one and sometimes what you would consider multiple mobile devices on you, whether that's multiple phones or a phone and a tablet. So it's a connection that it's a commonality that connects every single person now, not just in the United States, but across the whole world. So today's presentation is going to be focused on what you can do as business owners to try to succeed in an increasingly mobile-first world. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay. So as working for Google, I have an opportunity to work with businesses all around the country every day. In fact, I just came from Idaho Falls yesterday, where I was speaking at a different event. And I meet businesses every single day. And one of the things that we hear, so the team that I work with on Google is called Grow Your Business, Get Your Business Online with Google. It's changed names a few times. And Get Your Business Online with Google helps businesses grow. And the thing that we hear from all the businesses we talk to is that mobile changes everything. It's not just an evolutionary change, it's a revolutionary change. And now we need to start thinking about mobile as the beginning of our strategy. Remember when we were building websites and we used to think, well, we'll build a site and then once it's launched, we'll then get to work on a mobile version of that site? You can't do that now, because if you do that, you're leaving about half of your visitors high and dry. We're looking at statistics and we see that more than half of visitors are actually accessing the internet using their mobile devices. So you can no longer think about this as a secondary priority. You have to be there on those phones in those moments that matter. And that's consumers are more interested in their needs in a particular moment than to brand loyalty. So even if I've purchased your products and services before and I love them, if I do a search on my phone and I'm in a rush, if I find what I need on her website first, there's a really good chance that I'm going to become your customer. And so the upshot, or the downside, depending on how you look at it, is that every single business owner, every small business owner has a chance. You can compete with the big box stores, even online, if you are fast and you are there and you are useful in these critical moments that matter on people's phones. So that's what I will be talking about today. Could you forward for me? Thank you very much. All right, so I spend a lot of time working to help businesses succeed online. And one of the things that we found with the mobile shift is that it's not happening. A lot of people think about that, oh, everything's going to mobile. It hasn't happened. It's already happened. You shouldn't think about it as a trend that's growing. Right now, you really need to think about mobile as a very big priority. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you for some guesses. So in a mobile-first world, how many, let's start with searches happen every day. So does anybody have a guess on how many searches happen on Google every year?
1 trillion.
1 trillion, that's actually really close. That's about 1.2, 1.3 trillion. So what that breaks down to is billions of searches every single day. Here's another way to think about it. Every second of this presentation, there will be 40 100,000 Google searches. Isn't that crazy? So if you think about it, if even the smallest percentage of those searches is for you, for your products, your services, your businesses, that is the moment. That is a time where you really want to show up. And why? It's because you know, based on how they're doing their search, exactly what they need in this moment. When I started with internet advertising and advertising more than 20 years ago, we used to do traditional advertising, and even with online, we'd kind of employ what was called in the industry the spray and pray approach. And what that meant is that we would take our ad and we would put it anywhere anyone could possibly see it in hopes that we would attract potential customers. But internet advertising, internet marketing has changed all that, because now we don't have to hope that we're casting out the widest possible net to show our advertisements for our business at critical moments. Now we can actually target in based on what they've typed into Google. We can target based on what websites they're visiting. So with Google's tools, and with the internet in general, you have access to all this technology that is incredibly useful to help you target your marketing messages to the most important people, the most people who are most likely to become your paying customers. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So on top of all that, we have trillions of searches every year. The next thing to note is I already talked about half of searches coming from mobile. Well, just to kind of put some data behind that, so how many of you are using Google Analytics? Lots of folks. If you aren't using it, get out. Google Analytics is a free product. It's available at google.com/analytics. And what it does is it tells you about visitor behavior on your website. I used to use it in the 90s when it was called Urchin. And it was a very high-end product that we would use for our clients. Well, Google bought it, and they made it completely free for anyone to use. And it'll tell you what's happening on your website. Well, Google is able to look in the aggregate at the traffic patterns. And based on the millions of websites that are using Google Analytics, they can tell at an aggregate level that about half of the traffic is coming from mobile devices and from tablets. So we're actually seeing that from the data. It's not just a guess that mobile is this important. It really, really is. So here's another thing to think about. If all these people are using their search, they're using phones to do their search, and why are they doing searches? Well, how many of you have already done a search today? Everybody, right? What did you search for? Can I ask? Do you remember? Can you remember what you searched for today? Yeah, pet services. Were you looking for like a pet sitter? So she was looking for a pet sitter this morning. How many of you searched for directions to get here? Yeah, lots of you. How many of you searched for something to do this weekend or a restaurant reservation? Yep, we've got some of those. So the trick here is that as a business owner, you need to start thinking about what your potential customers are looking for, what they're typing in, what their needs are in a given moment. And if you can do that, if you can start tapping into the mindset of your customers, bless you, you have a great opportunity to then show up to them in those moments that matter. When I need a pet sitter, or I need a restaurant, or I need directions to get to the SMB Expo. And the stats are showing that 87% of people of smartphone owners are actually going to search first in their moment of need. It used to be that you would grab, a Yellow Pages or a phone book, or you'd grab something to try to find a resource. Just about everyone now, when you need something, the first thing you do is you grab your phone and you do a search. And it's just a complete shift in our behavior that you as business owners can capitalize on. Search is at least twice as likely to become someone's source of information than any other online or offline source. So the question again is, what do your customers want to do? And if I found your website online, would your website help me do it? Here's another thing that small business owners and big business owners need to think about. If I have a pet sitting business here in Phoenix, and my hope is to connect with you because you're looking for my services. If you get to my website, Is it easy for you to figure out what to do next, how to take that next step? Is it easy for you to find my phone number or directions or book an online appointment or get the information that I'm looking for? So as you start thinking about this process, how people are searching, what they might be typing on their phones, then go and compare that to your website and say, okay, does my website help them do that? And if it doesn't, that's the next place to start. Because you need to think about your website in many instances as a customer's first contact with your business. So how many of you have made a purchase in the last year, a big one, like a car or a computer or something, right? And so where did you go first? Did you go into a store to start the purchase process? How many of you went online to start that purchase process? Just about everyone, right? And so what we also need to think about is that gone are the days when people would go into a store for their first contact with your business or your products or services. Now, just about everyone starts online. And it's not just for the big stuff. It's for the big purchases and it's for the little purchases. One of my colleagues, she lived in Washington, D.C., and she had a very small patio outside of her condo. And she was looking for a Meyer lemon tree, little plant, those potted things, to put out there. And we were sitting at lunch talking about this, and she told me how she had read more than 250 online reviews before she decided which lemon tree to buy. And if you think about it, that tree was maybe $30. That's not a big purchase. That's a lot of time to spend reading reviews. But that is how today's consumers operate. So you want to go and make sure that when I'm looking for something, whatever that online presence is, whether it's the website, whether it's the online review sites, whether it's a local business listing, that every touch point for a consumer finding you online helps them get towards the end goal, which could be booking a place for my dog to go into daycare, or getting a reservation for lunch, or finding directions to the expo and saying, oh look, there's a nice little coffee shop across the street so I can run in and get a latte before my class starts. So these are the things that you as business owners need to keep in mind. So how many of you recognize this scene? Is this what you did? How many of you did this morning? First thing you did in the morning is you grab your phone, and then it happens again at night. The first thing that most people do at night is they put their phone back, or they pick up their phone, they look at it, and then they put it down and they go to bed. And that is another pattern that we see happening more and more. And it's great news for you, because what this means is that we have an incredibly, extraordinarily connected audience, because people are essentially glued to their phones. I've got to confess, my phone is over there so I can see what time it is. I feel a little naked right now. I don't have my phone in my hands. So I've got a notebook to comfort me. But that is the reality for people these days. And what that means for you as a business owner is now, instead of that, the brief moments when they might see a billboard, or they might be reading a magazine or watching television in a commercial, every time somebody grabs their phone, from the minute they wake up to the second they go to bed, you have a chance to connect with them in these critical moments. So let's take a little look at a video. This video is talking about micro moments. Micro moments is what Google calls these critical moments that matter. We call them the time where we want to know, when we want to go, we want to do, or we want to buy. And so your challenge as a business owner is to start thinking actively about what these moments might look like for your potential customers. Do you mind playing that video? So let's take a quick look at this and see if you can recognize yourself in any of the videos or any of the scenarios that play. Well, while the internet loads, so one of the things is when you get 1,000 people on network all at once, sometimes your internet's not going to play well with you. So we'll see if it plays, and if not, it's all good. But a micro moment, again, are those moments where you want to know, you want to go, you want to do, and you want to buy. And you want to think about, I'll give it like 10 more seconds. It's okay. If it doesn't load, yeah, you know what? We'll just skip the video. But you know what we'll do instead? Let's come up with some micro moments. Okay, so let's pretend you see me teaching this class here on stage and you like my boots. You might not, but if you did like my boots, what might you type into a Google search? right? Where to buy, and these are, what are these? These are Freebird by Steve Madden shoes. So you might, and if you knew that, you might do a search for it. Or you might like this guy's hat, and you're like, wow, how do I get a hat just like that? So you might type in white top hat. Or you might say, all right, I really like the computer that we're using over there, so I'm going to do some price comparison shopping on that computer. It might be that you get home after today's expo, and one of your kids is home, and you can see that they decided to do a little experiment and give your younger child a haircut in the kitchen sink. And so what are you going to do then? You're going to try to find a solution to fix that bad haircut. So what's your job now is to think about all of these little moments and what someone might search for and how they might connect to you. So we're just going to skip the video and go straight over Ryan. So it's okay. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at moments and micro moments. So once we pop this one up and give me my screen, let's look at some of these moments. So we are comparing a day. So if you look at these moments, it's 7:05 a.m. I woke up, I grabbed my phone, I checked my social media, then I looked at the weather and I realized that, man, it is really hot in Phoenix. It's 104 degrees. Oh my goodness, I'm going to need a sun hat today. Then I said, all right, well, I need to go grab some breakfast. And oh man, that breakfast pastry is really pretty. So how many of you take pictures of your food and post it to social media? Everyone does that now. So you go in and you can post that picture of your pastry to social media. You're like, oh rats, I've got a lunch meeting. I'm going to text my colleague and see if I can get lunch set up and confirm it. You can take a photo of a terrible traffic jam as you're sitting on your way to work or to the expo, and then you would complain about that on social media. So that's an example of some of the moments, the interactions that you might have with your phone this morning, right? But if you think about them from a business owner perspective, are any of those really valuable to you as a business owner? Maybe, but not really. None of those interactions are really telling you that this person is in the mindset to know or go or do or buy. Now let's compare that to the next slide. So this is to micro moments. And so with micro moments, let's look at these. So at 7:05, remember I searched for the weather in Phoenix and I realized that it was going to be really much hotter and sunnier than I was anticipating. And so I thought I really should have brought a sun hat. So what do I do next? Now I search for a local store where I can buy a hat. Now that is a type of search that you as a business owner might be able to capitalize on because you're like, aha, I sell them at my store. So it's just that shade of difference between searching for the weather and then searching for a solution that helps me with that weather. Now another thing, it actually really was my mother's birthday yesterday, oops. But I mean, I was traveling, I was in Idaho, I was on a bus. So one of the things that I'm going to do is like, oh, well, I had some really great pastries at this local bakery in Phoenix, so I'm going to call her and let her know that I am shipping those pastries. I'm going to order them online at that bakery and send them to her. So that could help me figure out, well, that's another important moment for me as that bakery to actually know that this person wants to buy something. Go back. Thank you. The next thing, I can say, all right, well, that colleague confirmed that lunch meeting, so now I need to make a reservation. So I can go online to that and I can make that reservation. If lunch was really, really good, I'm like, all right, well, I want to come back here with my friends, and they've got trivia tomorrow night, so then I can make another reservation. And then the last thing, as an example, would be like, I've got 5 minutes left before I have to drive home, and man, this traffic is going to stink. So I'm going to like procrastinate and daydream and spend the last 5 minutes of my day researching getaway vacations where I don't have to drive. So you as a business owner can tap into these critical moments, these moments that matter, and show your products and your services and your business during those moments. So the trick here is figuring out the distinction between moments and micro moments, and that's going to be an ongoing activity. Now, it happens a lot. Guess how many times an average person checks their phone every single day? Any guesses? It's actually lower than that. It's about 150 times a day, which is still a lot of people checking on the phone, and that's an average. Some people might do it 500. An average person will spend 177 minutes every single day looking on their phone. And the interactions with the phone are short. So it's not like someone is watching 10 minutes or an hour on their phone. The average is less than a minute. So they're actually going in, they're looking something up, they're getting a snippet of information, an answer that they're looking for, and then they're heading on. So you really need to start thinking about, how do I sell my products and my services in a minute or less on my phone? All right, let's go to the next one. So what we're going to do now is talk about intent and context. And intent is what they want to do. And context is, when I'm talking about that, it's the circumstances that the people are in that sort of shapes what's going to happen. So can you forward the slide for me? So here's a scene, and it's a little bright in here, it's a little hard to see it, but what we see is a city scene, and these are people, and basically if we could go and interview all these people, we'd learn things about them. We'd learn that this person is addicted to the news, and this person loves music, and this person loves movies, and this one is a guy, and then this person is close to the store, and this person is in this age range. We can learn all of this information about these people. But the thing about the internet is that we now have the technology to learn similar things about people just based on what the information they put in. Whether that's a social media site, whether that's a profile on a website. And you, as businesses, can now tailor marketing messages to people based on the information that we know about them. So now this combination of context and intent can help you show the most relevant marketing messages to people. When you're starting your online marketing campaigns, here are things that I want you to think about. I want you to think about this audience. If this audience were potential customers for you, who are they? What do they like? What are they interested in? How are they searching? What do they want to do? And then look at all of that information, that profile of your typical customer, your personas, and then go to your website and make sure that it fits. Does this website help this person get to what they need to do, or encourage them to take that next step that's an actionable and hopefully a profitable step for your business? Can you forward the next slide? Thanks, Ryan. Okay, so let's talk about two scenarios about businesses that have actually done this. This is a case study of a business called 1000 Bulbs. They sell light bulbs online. And what they were able to do is use Google's technology to figure out what search queries, that is what people typed in, would help bring more business to them. And they happened to use technology that allowed call tracking. So one of the things that you can do is actually advertise in a way that delivers phone calls directly to your business. So that's what they happened to do. But they used the information that they were able to learn to figure out the intent of what somebody was looking for. You don't have to, you can start just by talking about it and thinking about it. So here we go. Let's say someone went to Google and they typed in the word bulb. So could they be a customer for 1000 Bulbs? They could be, but if you just typed in the word bulb, what else could you be looking for? Flowers? I mean, the sky is the limit on this. They could be looking for light bulbs, but maybe it's for a science project. Maybe it's for the history of light bulbs. Maybe they're looking for, we can come up with many, many different ways and ideas or reasons that someone would search for the word bulb. And it could be the same for the word light. It could be the same for the word light bulb. Even if they typed in light bulb, we don't really know what they want yet. Again, maybe it's like a history project for the history of the light bulb. But if somebody typed in a very specific search, like buy LED hydroponic light bulbs, that is where we start getting into the money searches, because now people are adding specificity to their search. Now we have a very clear picture about what this person is interested in. So you as business owners also need to start really thinking about the context of a search. And as you work on your online marketing strategies, whether that's an SEO campaign, search engine optimization, or advertising, pay-per-click marketing, or social, you're going to start figuring out, well, where am I going to concentrate my efforts? And if you were this company trying to really focus on the word bulb, it might get you some customers, but it's probably going to get you a lot of wasted effort because you don't really know what they want. But if you sell LED hydroponic light bulbs, and that's what someone's searching for, you know that you've got a really good opportunity to sell to a person who's searching for something like that. So that is the mindset that you as business owners need to get into as you start promoting your businesses online. Now let's look at the next one. This one is talking about context. And here the context is a mom or a parent with their child watching some content on a tablet. And so here's what this company did. The case study here is a company called Zing. And they're a toy maker, and they actually made this fun toy called a game called Wet Head. And it's kind of like Russian roulette. I haven't done it myself, but I read about it. And apparently you get this plastic helmet and you fill it with cold water and ice cubes. And then you put it on your head and it's filled with straws. And then the kids take turns basically pulling out the straws, and at one point it leaks and you get a giant wet head full of ice cubes and water. I don't know, but at one point it was the #2 selling game on Amazon.com, partly because of their advertising and promotional campaigns. And what they did is they worked with YouTube to figure out how to target parents and children in a certain age range and what kind of programming they would be interested in. And that's where they showed advertisements for this game. And then using studies to measure brand lift, they were able to see whether or not that advertisement campaign really worked, and it did. It worked significantly. So these are just some of the things that you can do. You can start tapping into the intention and the context to help you show your business, your advertisements, and promote to the people that are really the ones who are likely to become your customers. Ryan, could you switch? Thank you very much. Google's purpose, Google's entire purpose in life is to drive information to people. That's why the company exists. And what does Google use? It uses intent and context. If you think about it, every time you do a search on Google, Google is looking at all of the information it can find. What it knows about you, where we are in the world, what time of day it is, what day of the year it is. It'll look at other searches that have happened and what people have clicked on when they. What they will do is they will create a search engine results page that delivers the most relevant results to you at this moment in time. And so for you as a business owner, what you can do is you can say, all right, I am going to create content on my website so when someone does a search for this word or this phrase, my website has the answer. My website gives them the piece that they are looking for online. And that is how you can use Google to drive customers to your business. And it's how Google can succeed in being the best search engine it can be by presenting relevant information to people at the moment that they want to find it. Looking forward. So you as business owners need to start tapping into that. And what we're going to be doing now is talking about three things that you can do to improve your online presence, particularly your mobile device, to capture all of these critical moments, the moments where you're at a coffee shop and you want to order some muffins, or your child has cut all their hair and you need to find that hairdresser, or the moment when you first walk home with that brand new baby and you're like, oh my goodness, I have absolutely no idea what I'm supposed to do next. So how can you as business owners tap into that? So here are the three keys, and they're pretty simple. I mean, the tips sound very basic. There's a lot to them though. The first one is you need to be there. You need to show up. The second one is you need to be useful. And the third is you need to be quick. So at a very high level, those are three tips that you will employ to actually be there in the moments that matter. So let's talk a little bit more about them. So first of all, being there. Google helps businesses lead people from that moment that they're searching for something to your site. Here's another way to think about Google. Google is essentially a lead delivery system. Every time they do a search in Google, that lead brings them to your website. But at that point, Google's job is done. Google has connected them to you. And now it is up to you. It is up to your website to make sure that you can actually go ahead and close the deal. So the first thing is that you have to show up. But then once you do that, there has to be more. Can you forward? So think about, again, where people are when they're doing these searches. Did you know that there are many, many searches that happen in store? If any of you have brick and mortars, here's one thing that you want to think about. I want to be there when someone is inside my store and doing a search, maybe looking at a price comparison, maybe looking for product specifications. So that is an important moment. The next one is when someone is, say, on their morning commute, not certainly, but on a train or in a taxi. And so think about what they might be doing on their way to work, getting ready for the day or the weekend. You can also think about what they might be trying to do. And that might be trying to fix something. And so if you were a plumber, as an example, you might actually have information on your website about things that you can probably fix on your own without calling me. And then the last example is someone is just on her phone anywhere. The point on that slide is that people can buy stuff anywhere they are, no matter where they are, as long as they have internet access. And so these no-go moments are the moments that really matter to you. Forward one more time. Okay, let's talk about the next one, being useful. And so now that we're there, let's assume we've covered that first piece and we're showing up in those moments. Now you need to think about what is it that people want to do when they get to your site. Here's an example of a real small business that I personally think fits the slide really, really well. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and every year I buy mulch. I buy a lot of mulch because I don't want to mow my lawn, so I cover it with mulch. And every single year, I think to myself, okay, Stasia, how much did I order last year? And I can never remember. Was it like 10 yards of mulch? Was it 20? I have no idea. And so usually I can call them up and they can look it up, but every year I do this, I try to figure it out. And I am apparently not the only person that does this. So what this website, what this company has, is this really easy to use mulch calculator on their website. And all you need to do is put in the dimensions of the area that you want to mulch, how thick you want it to be, and it'll calculate for you how much you need to order. And that's a really useful tool. So here's something you can think about. What question do you as a business owner get every single day? What do people always ask you? When they call you on the phone, what do they want to know? If you look at your analytics reports, what kinds of topics are people looking for? And then brainstorm your business. What can you do to add to your website, to your online presence, that can help people find the answers that they're looking for? If you are useful in my moments of need, sorry, we're breaking up here. If you are useful in my moments of need, that is another great opportunity for me to connect with your business and then hopefully become a customer. For the next one. All right, and third, be quick. I don't think I could overemphasize how important it is for your website to be fast, for a variety of reasons. First of all, for everyone who has a phone, it's not that we're necessarily in any more of a rush. And now I actually have to grab it. I can't leave my phone any longer. It's not even that we're in more of a rush than we were before. It's just that we have the impression that we're under a time constraint. And so people who are doing these searches on these devices often feel like they've only got a matter of seconds to find the answers that they're looking for. In fact, for every second longer that your website takes to load, your conversions, that is the success rate, drops 20%. It's pretty crazy. An estimate is that a website on average loses 50% of its visitors while waiting for the site to load. Half of your visitors are gone before they even saw the web page. So that is one of the most important things that you as a business owner can start right away to fix, is the speed of your website. So your idea here is to make the experience with your website fast and frictionless. And you can do that by testing your website and then using the results of the test to go ahead and make improvements. So here's the average. So there was a study done last year that tested the average time that it took for a website to load, a mobile site. And that average was 19 seconds. So we're going to do a very painful experiment. Okay, ready? I am not going to talk for 19 seconds. And see how this feels. And imagine you're waiting for an answer on a phone. Are you ready? Here it goes. Did that feel like a long time? It really did, right? But it was less than 20 seconds. The thing is, the majority of human beings, they're gone. If it takes that long for your website to load, they're not going to stick around. It's much easier for them to just hit the back button and go to a different website. So that is one of the first things that you want to look at with your mobile websites. And here's the one tool that I'm going to show you from Google today. It is free. It is called Test My Site. And the URL, I'll read it to you since you don't have notebooks. It's a little long, but we can do this. The URL is testmysite.thinkwithgoogle.com. I'll read that one more time. Testmysite.thinkwithgoogle.com. And it's free. It's a web page. You go to the test and you can put in your URL. And then it's going to evaluate that website and it will tell you whether or not your website is optimized for speed on mobile devices. And that's going to be the first thing that you want to do. It will give you a list of actionable changes that you can implement on your website that will help improve its speed. You also have the option to request a free, more detailed report that will be emailed to you, and you usually get it about an hour after you run the report. And even if you are not a quote-unquote webmaster, a developer, you can take that list and you can forward it to your IT staff and say, look, here are the things that Google's algorithm is penalizing my website for because of a slower load time on mobile devices. Now, here's the trick. So Google actually announced, I think about two years ago, what it's basically doing now is it's saying, okay, it's treating search results separately from a mobile device and a desktop computer. So now, if somebody is searching from a mobile device, they're going to look at this speed to determine which websites will show up in those results. Because remember, Google's most important job is to help consumers find what they're looking for. And even if you have the perfect website, the best pet sitting business in Phoenix that this woman is looking for, if my website won't load on a mobile device for 30 seconds, Google might not show it, because that's not going to be a good experience for you guys when you're doing your search. You know, you might have a brand new website, the brand new pet sitting business, and so you're the newcomer in town, but if your website loads in a split second, you've got a really good shot of showing up in that moment because you're providing that answer very quickly in that micro moment. So that should be part of every business owner's strategy, being quick. Okay, so here is an activity you guys can all do. And we can do it now, or if you don't feel like talking to your neighbors, we can certainly, something you can take for home. So what I want you to do is start, and I think you all should have notebooks with you or pens, but here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about, first of all, making a list. And the list would be, what are the moments that my customers have? And so that would be thinking about the different scenarios. So can somebody give me an example of what they're, give me a business. Who's out here? Yes, ma'am. What's that? Say again. Balloon. You're the balloon. Did you make these balloons? You didn't. Well, next time, we need to find your business online. So this woman has a balloon business. That's a perfect example. So how many in the audience, what might we need her for a balloon business? For an expo, for my booth. So there's one example. What else might you need a balloon business for? A birthday party. What else? Oh, what's that? Wedding? Wedding, an event, a bar mitzvah, anything, any kind of party, any kind of event, any kind of expo. So in her case, what she's going to be doing is thinking about all of the different types of events that people might have where they might need the balloons. Now, let me ask you a question. Are there different types of balloons that people need? There's different things. I'll tell you as an example, and it was just a rule with Phoenix. We were not allowed to have helium balloons in this space. I don't know why. But so we actually needed to find specialty balloons that did not have helium in order to set it up at this expo. So that's another thing that you can start thinking about what kinds of considerations might different venues, different customers have. Now we're using balloons as an example, but apply this to all of your businesses. Think about all of the different considerations and how that might change the search. And this is going to be a running, moving list that you will continue to work on. Now, the second thing that you want to think about is the story. That's one sort of framework for your website. When people get to my site, what is the story that I tell? And the story that I tell might be the origins of my business, or how I helped create this beautiful exhibit at the expo, or how I started off and this is how the product, the iteration of the product, and this is how we deliver it. It might be the story of, here is what the customer experience is like working with my business. So if you can use that as sort of a way to use your website as a way to have that first conversation with a customer. Because remember, now people aren't coming in to talk to you. They're not calling you on the phone anymore. The first place they're starting is your website. So you need to think about your website as the place to tell that business story that compels them to come in and hopefully choose to do business with you. Now, the third thing to think about is, how are all these things, how are these searches that people are doing, these micro moments, and the stories that you're telling, how are they driving business outcomes? So if she tells this she makes a great story on her website about the process of designing and creating balloon art, balloon sculptures for events, at the very end of that story, what does she do to drive the outcome? Well, it could be as simple as adding her phone number and saying, call me right now to talk about it and I'll get you a free quote. Or click here to go in and buy online. Or click here or fill out this form to schedule an appointment to talk to me. So you need to think again, for every piece of content, everything that you do promoting yourself online, how do I drive it to a business outcome? How do I, without seeming too pushy or too salesy, then give customers the opportunity to take the next step when they're ready? And that should be part of the process whenever you're working on your site and your online presence. And then again, think about all those things that I talked about with 10 text. You want to think about the mindset. Think about who they are, what they're interested, what they want to do, what needs they have, and what actions they want to take. If you put all of this together, this can help your business succeed in a micro moments world, a mobile first world. So that's what I've got for this morning. My name is Stasia, and I think I have some time to actually take some questions today. I've got about 5 minutes. So Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, ma'am. Now, I was a drummer for 13 years, and it's also pretty loud in here. So you're going to have to, I think, actually, Kelsey has a microphone. That's probably going to make life easier. Kelsey, do you mind bringing it over here for this woman? Thank you very much. Unless you want to shout, but I don't think I could hear you.
I want my company to be the first thing that potential customers see.
Yes.
So how can I create the right and best analytics for you to put my company first?
That's okay. And this is a question that just about every single business owner asks me or asks themselves. You all want to be first on Google when people do a search. Of course. That is the goal. And only one of you can be first on a particular search. My first response to that is, it's okay to be second or third or fourth. As long as people can find you relatively near the top, you have a great opportunity to show up. The second thing about this is that, well, how many of you have received an email from a company, a business that says, for X dollars, we can guarantee you first place on Google? Every day, right? First of all, that is not Google. And second of all, nobody can guarantee that to you. I used to own a search engine optimization company. That's what I did. And when I would go and I would meet with a client, and ma'am, tell me your name. I'm sorry. Catherine. I would say, hey, Catherine, I heard you want to be first on Google, and I'm Stasia, and I can sell you my SEO services, and you'll pay this much a month, and you have to sign a contract with me for 6 months, and I can't guarantee you anything. Are you ready to sign up? No, right? But the reality is that's the honest answer, because at the end of the day, no company has the ability to guarantee any particular placement on Google. It is purely up to the algorithm, the computer program that is truly looking for the best search results for this person in this place of the world in this moment in time on this search query. Now, there are things that you can do. There are things that you can do to help your website be more readable, more accessible to the search engine, to the bot, so it can understand your pages. There are things that you can do to say, hey, we know that lots of people are looking for a pet sitter near Phoenix. So what we're going to do is we're going to create lots of original, useful content that really helps Google, the computer program, understand what my business is about, what my website is selling, my products and my services. So when someone is searching for a pet sitter and Google has all of these websites to choose from to make that page, it could say, okay, based on all of the options, we can see here that this is an actively managed, useful, relevant website that has lots of information that seems to be relevant to this, what this person wants to find. And so that is the ongoing process that everyone can do. Now, you can hire an SEO company, and many of them can, I mean, my company could. We absolutely could help you with that. But it wasn't because we had a special arrangement. It's because we did hard work to help build your website as a resource, as an authority about that particular topic. And every business owner out here, you can do that too. One of the easiest things that you can do is, first of all, make sure that your pages are readable to Google and accessible to Google. If Google can actually go in and understand your web pages. There's a free tool that can help you do that. It's called Google Search Console. It used to be called Webmaster Tools, and you can get to it at google.com/webmasters. And what it does is it gives you free reports to show you if Google can access your pages and what information it can see. So that would be the first thing. And assuming Google can read your pages, now if you just add content, if you add information about your products, your services, your industry, that is over time really the best thing you can do to help establish your business as an information source on this particular topic and hopefully get you higher in the search engine results pages. Yes, sir. Do you want a microphone or? Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to hear you in the hall.
Sorry, it was just something you said. Did I hear you right? I'm 35, my neighbor's 65. We both have different Google profiles. totally different interests. He's a biker, I'm a jock.
Yeah.
Are you saying that if we both type in the exact same search on Google that you would profile us different?
So the question was about profiling. So it depends on, as an example on YouTube, what it can do is it can look at demographic information about the types of websites that you're looking at. So if I was going to be advertising on YouTube, what I could do is I could say, all right, I want to target my ads on videos that fit a certain segment of the population. So if I know that there is a video or a topic that targets by gender, I can show videos that way. But no, I can't individually identify you as a 35-year-old male who lives in Phoenix. However, there are some things, like when you did if you did a search from your computer here, the IP address that's associated with that search would tell you the basic information that you're in Phoenix. So they could use information like that. But there is no personally identifiable information. But Google will pull from whatever it can to actually show you the most relevant results. Did I answer your question? Okay. Yes, in the back, ma'am.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about Google My Business.
Oh, Google. Yes, I could. Her question was about Google My Business, and I've actually spent the last 5 years working with the team on that product. So for every business owner in here who has a storefront or service area business, you can do this today. It's probably one of the easiest things you can do to get found for free on Google. You can sign up at google.com/business. And what it is basically a way for you to create a free listing. And that listing information can appear on Google Search and on Google Maps. So if you've ever gone to Google and you're like, oh, my phone number it's not my right phone number, it's my old one. By creating or claiming your Google My Business listing, you will actually, as the owner, have the ability to go in and from one place update the information as it appears across Google Search and Google Maps. And I mean, I could talk here for a half an hour about this product, but it has all sorts of neat things, like the ability to add photos, and now you can add posts, which are, messages that you can put out that appear across the search results pages. You can publicly respond to reviews left on Google. You can see reports that show you how many people found you on search and maps, and how many of those searches resulted in a phone call from a mobile device to your business. And it's free. It's one of the easiest things that you can do today to help your business get found across Google. All right, I'm just checking my time. I can take one more question, and then I won't leave. I'll stay up here. You can come up and see me if you have any other questions. I saw that lady's hand in the back. For Google My Business, google.com/business. And then you, I saw your hand second. Yes, so you're my last question of the day.
How does a survey, or let's say I'm walking into a
You hold it a little closer to your mouth, yeah.
Let's say I'm walking into a restaurant.
Yep.
And then it pops up with the Google with the menu and survey and things like that. How does that appear, and how does a business make that happen?
So you walk into a restaurant and the menu appears?
Yes, the Google page say that I'm here, showing the menu.
Yeah, so particularly with mobile devices, they have excellent, and it's with the mobile technology, it has the geolocation. So it's not, I mean, depending on where you're in the country, and so I was in, where was I? I was in kind of rural Utah. The geolocation was not quite as good there as it was in Phoenix. So it depends on where you are in the country, but particularly in metro areas, with cell towers and things like that, it can really pinpoint your actual location. And we're seeing this technology grow and improve leaps and bounds every single month. And so we're going to start to see, things like the ability to oh, you just walked into my store, and so here's a coupon that you can see. So that technology is growing and changing, and it's all because of the mobile devices that we're carrying, which is the part of the reason I'm here talking about mobile devices. Well, the best thing that you can do right now to help is to create that Google My Business listing, because that is how Google understands where you are on the map. And so it's that map listing that's going to help Google tie you into a geographic location. All right, they're going to pull me off the stage in a minute, but thank you guys so much. It was really nice to see you. If you have more questions, I'm just going to be hanging out over there. So come on over and chat, and I hope you have fun at the expo, and thank you so much for coming.